Yeah, just pulling in right here. Just got here. Yeah, I'll get it. Don't worry. Yeah. You can count on me. Okay, so just before we get here, I just need to make sure I know exactly what I'm getting. So you need diapers. How many exactly? All right. Okay. I'll just pick up, yeah. Get some sheets as well. Oh. Your house never has it. Okay. Hang on.
Hi, how you doing today?
Hold on
Good.
1 second.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I know. He says hi.
Yeah, tell me.
He says hi. Yep, see you.
Thank you.
Okay.
You have a great day.
You too. No, it'll probably be 5 minutes. All right.
When we think in terms of personal defense, we think in terms of 4 primary principles: prevent, deter, detect, and defend. Prevention are those things that you do that recognize your risk. Things like when you travel, where you travel, how you travel, when you come to places like convenience stores, time of day, what times are more high risk than others. Deter is what you do with yourself to make yourself a little harder to target, so that criminals would look at this as an opportunity and say, no, not that person, not today. Some of those things include physical barriers, the kinds of things that protect us, like locks. How well do we lock and secure our home and our workplace? Detect means how far away can we identify that an attack is occurring or is about to occur? Can we spot it as far out as possible to give us the greatest number of options available for escaping from this? And then the fourth, the last, is defend, and that's our physical abilities and capabilities and or the use of weapons to defeat an attack. You've just seen a situation that happens all too often in this country. So let's bring Kaylie back in. I'd like to introduce you, Kaylie, Wright, Miss Idaho 2015. She's down here with us training here at the Weber County Shooting and Tactical Training Center. And we'd like to review this situation with her and with you, gain an understanding of what might have been done a little bit different, potentially change the outcome. Let's start with the prevent concept. Do we really need to be here this time of night? Do we really need to come to a convenience store at this time? Was there something that was critical to have? And that's kind of the question you'd ask yourself. All right. When it comes to deterrent, your parking position was pretty good. Lighting like this, darkness, we want to be far enough, or we want to be close enough, right, so we can move quickly and that we have some light around us. Right? But when you come out, though, you notice that the whole time, from the time you exited your vehicle till you went in the store, you were totally unaware of what was going on. You're focused on your phone and the conversation you were having. You go inside the store, you gather your items, you're on the phone the whole time. You go up to the clerk, you purchase your items, you give no second thought about what might be out here. You exit the store, your hands are full. You open the car door and you begin to climb in. You're still talking on your phone, you're trying to move the groceries. And that is what we call a point of maximum vulnerability. You're in a position that's very hard to defend physically. You're in a position that someone can take advantage of. The door's open. In our world, one of the things that we would do at this point, or that we talk about, is first thing is we would stop and so we'd just take a quick scan. What do I see out there? Are conditions changed? I'd come out of that store, but I'm off the phone, so I can pay attention to everything that's going on around me. I have the items in one hand. I try and always keep my strong arm free because that's the one of the greatest use in defending us or in accessing a weapon if we're legally entitled to carry one. We always place our items in the back of the car. Reason being is, at this point of maximum vulnerability, you're getting in, you're trying to shift, your hands are full, there's very little ability to defend yourself, to bring your hands back and use them to either protect yourself or to defend against someone's attack or to go offensive if necessary. So we just simply walk to the rear as we unlock the car door. We keep a good look around. We put those items in the back seat, we close the door. Now our hands are free. We're going to open the car door. We're going to get in. We're not going to put our seatbelt. Get in, close the door, put the key in, turn the key on with our foot on the brake and put the car in drive. With a modern car, what happens? The door's locked. And we've removed that point of maximum vulnerability. Then we put our seatbelt on so we're not trapped in a position like you were when you first got in the vehicle, put your seatbelt on, door's still open, you're talking on your phone. Yeah, you've got the key in English. Then there's the last piece. If you are legally entitled to carry a firearm, how do you fight yourself clear? We have a whole serious course called Fighting to Your Firearm. You're going to fight more people than you're ever going to shoot. So do you have physical skills? Things like knowing how to protect the nerve center, the elbow center down, curl our body. If you're in a seat, someone attacks you. You want to get your knees up high to your chest, pull them up, create a barrier down this side. Turn into them, kick with your feet. Gain distance. Your goal is to escape. You end up trapped in that car with somebody, very hard to get out. You want to escape in those initial moments. You're going to use, reply to his violence. We're going to exit that vehicle, that far side, and we're going to go. Where do we go? Lights and people. Lights and people. Particularly at night, we don't run off into the dark, particularly if we're being pursued. Our greatest chance is the lights and people out here. Now, let's say you are legally allowed to carry a firearm. Could you draw and shoot it?
Well, if I, is that?
That's a pretty good question. Let's bring in an expert. Let's bring in Mitch Velos, one of the foremost attorneys in use of force here in the United States, author of a book on that subject. And let's ask him. Mitch, Kaylie Wright, Miss Idaho, 2015.
Nice to meet you, my privilege.
She's down here training with us. So she has a question. You've seen her in this scenario, and she's wondering, what force can she legally use?
Well, the law says you can use whatever force you need to, short of deadly force, to get a person who is assaulting you away from you, or to keep that person from continuing to assault you, or even prevent him from assaulting you. Now, in the scenario that you were involved in, it's pretty clear that any reasonable person would anticipate that this violent person intended either serious bodily injury or possibly had murder on his mind, murderous intent. And under those circumstances, you are justified, as they say in the law, to use deadly force, which would include the use of a firearm.
Okay, so did you ever really see a weapon in his hands?
I didn't.
So is the actual presence of a weapon necessary in terms of deadly force?
No, not necessarily. It is one of the factors that we identify in our book, in a chapter we call thumbs down factors. The more of those factors that you have in the incident, the more likely you are to be arrested, prosecuted, or convicted. Now, and one of those factors is the assailant does not have a weapon and you have a firearm, and you injure that assailant with a firearm. There is a question then, did you have justification to use deadly force? Now, under the circumstances that we saw that Kaylie was facing, I don't think any prosecutor would doubt that she had justification. And in fact, there are several states that specifically mention if you're about to be removed from an automobile or your home, you have the right to use deadly force. So it's like the automobile becomes an extension of your home, what we commonly refer to as the castle doctrine. So, but it varies between states, and that's why we wrote our book, Self-Defense Laws of All 50
Well, here in Utah, there are two conditions, and the first is that you are in reasonable fear of another's imminent use of force likely or intended to cause serious bodily injury or death. And then there's a second, and that is to prevent the commission of a forcible felony. Does this situation fit a forcible felony?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, a carjacking absolutely fits the definition of a forcible felony. So, without a doubt, under these circumstances portrayed in this scenario on camera, she had the right to use deadly force.
So, Kaylie's from Idaho. We're standing here in Utah. In a few weeks, she's headed to another state for the Miss America pageant, all right? A reference for her, if she has her concealed firearms permit for where she's going, would be your book, Self-Defense Laws of All 50 States.
Right.
Give us a little background on that book.
Well, as you know, Randy, I began, after we wrote the Utah book on gun laws, began to get cases involving defensive incidents. So we we saw some horrible tragedies from a legal standpoint because people didn't understand what their rights were, their responsibilities. We knew that we needed more than just one chapter, so we started to research all of the states. We put together a book that includes the use of deadly force in all 50 states. And we found in writing the book and reading hundreds of cases that oftentimes there are factors like the factor of having the unarmed assailant that can contribute to a prosecutor making a decision to prosecute because you shot somebody who didn't have a weapon. You have a weapon, the assailant does not have a weapon. So that can be a factor, okay? And as you travel from state to state, it's important that you know what the rules are. And that's the other reason we wrote the book. So it's a reference guide. If you're gonna travel, you really ought to know what the rules are, especially if you're carrying a weapon.
So Kaylie, we've talked a little bit about some things you might do tactically that might potentially change the outcome. And you received a little legal advice from Mitch about legal parameters and the use of force, including deadly force. How would you feel about your ability to handle this situation?
I feel a lot more confident knowing this now, and I do have my concealed permit. And going through this terrifying real-life situation, it's good practical use, and I feel a lot more confident after this training.
Well, great. Let's go get some equipment. Let's run this again and see if we can change the outcome.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, I'll see you in 5.